Yo, what's good? Welcome back to the channel. As usual, I'm going to let the clip play and then I'll address the statements afterwards.
Not so long ago, shoes were just shoes. That was before Michael Jordan.
It's gotta be the shoes. Shoes.
It doesn't matter if you're a basketball fan. You're about to meet somebody every kid on every playground in America is talking about.
Few athletes ever become superstars, and then there is Michael Jordan, who has become a walking metaphor for success.
Jordan's success brought together two behemoths, the NBA and Nike, in an unofficial marriage that was mutually beneficial. His prodigious play brought more attention to the Nike brand, and the Air Jordan line brought more attention to basketball. But as sports marketing evolved and merchandising turned into a cash cow for the NBA, the two forces began to clash.
At the time, Gary Bettman was our general counsel, a pretty hard-charging lawyer. Gary and David Fall were having pretty much knockdown, drag-out matches in terms of where this was all going to end from a marketing and merchandising perspective.
There was money to be made in the Michael Jordan industry, and the NBA felt as his employer, they were entitled to some of it.
Right pick on the right wing, his jumper.
But then, Jordan struck a deal with Nike that made it difficult for the league to capitalize. The once fruitful relationship between Nike, Jordan, and the NBA had turned sour.
It finally culminated in a meeting at the NBA office. Phil Knight had flown in for the meeting. You could feel the tension in the room. And David made a bit of a late theatrical entrance. I don't think we were more than 10 minutes into the meeting, where David stood up, slammed the table, pointed at Phil Knight and said, "If you want to kiss Michael Jordan's ass, you can, but I'm not going to," and walked out of the room. These were two forces that were colliding that really were at the heart of where our industry would go.
I was with this Nike executive, as I said, just recently, and he said to me, to this day, when he goes into urban areas to sell sneakers, they still want the Jordan line. That's what everybody wants. We always talk about Jerry West being the logo. Michael Jordan is the icon.
All right, so the first thing I wanted to address was the exclusive Nike rights that Jordan had. And it makes me, think back to, back in the day, for those of you that are old enough, you'll remember, like a lot of video games, basketball games, Mike would never be in the games. Like I know there was, the Jordan versus the Bulls, or Jordan versus Bird, and Bulls versus Blazers. But then like NBA Jam, Mike was never in NBA Jam. You always had to run with Scotty and one of the other Bulls. And then I had, when I was back then, I had NBA Live 98 on the PlayStation, and he wasn't on the Bulls. There was like a replacement player that was player 89. So I never really thought about that until I saw this clip, but that might be one of the reasons why Mike was never in those games back in the day. All right, so now the other thing I wanted to address was right at the end there, when Jackie MacMullan was saying that even today, when like they go into the neighborhoods, that these kids still want the Jordan line. It's perplexing to me. Like I don't understand. Like for those of us who are old enough, obviously, nostalgia is going to play a role into why you might want to buy Jordan products or wear Jordans or whatever. But like these kids who weren't even born, they were barely born when he played for the Wizards. Like what? What is the connection? I don't get it. Other than the fact that they've seen people older than them go after Jordan, so on and so forth. And then a lot of like the sneaker designs are pretty timeless. So I can see how, from a fashion standpoint, they might feel like they want them. And then it's become a fad, in the last 10, 15 years, where everybody's a quote unquote sneakerhead now. But it's crazy to me, the sustained success of Jordan brand, if you want to call it. I think I've seen, obviously with The Last Dance coming up, they've been talking a lot of Jordan topics on First Take. And the other day they were talking about if LeBron's brand, his global brand, could ever catch Mike's. And they brought out a couple of points that stunned me. Like I know a couple of years ago, Jordan brand by itself cracked $1 billion. So I thought they were still kind of in that range. But allegedly they've broken $3 billion, which is staggering. That's crazy. And then that Mike, like Jordan Brand, still outsells all of the other current players, and that includes Kobe before he retired. He outsells all of them combined. Like that is mind-boggling to me, because he hasn't stepped on the floor in a Bulls uniform in over 20 years, but he's outselling all these guys. That's crazy to me. But anyway, that's gonna be it on this one. Thanks for watching the video. Peace.
He no longer needs accomplishments to prove his case as the greatest player in NBA history. He just adds to it. And if this is the final chapter, what a way to close the book.